down. Clearly. I'm back. Don't worry. We'll wait for a moment and gather our wits about us. Hello. Hello, stranger. I'm back. Reload. Nope. I'm back. Let everybody know to reload their page if they have to. Sorry, it'll be choppy for a second while it gets its act together. But apparently, first of all, how do you wipe your face and miss here? It's not like it's by his ear. It's halfway across his goddamn cheek. How do you miss? He's wiped his nose across his forehead and done a whole wipe. I don't get it.
In Georgia, we have two Senate races that have the U.S. District Court judges and federal authorities monitoring elections.
Yes, everyone. Hold on. I'll put it in here. Refresh your page. I can type.
I can't say what's going to be done about.
Every county we have sort of a Operation Gray.
I'm sorry, I didn't, in what county?
County, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Atlanta, there's sort of an Operation Gray Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were
Yep.
informed of that.
I know about it. I really can't give you an opinion on that. I think obviously
Why?
every election official should learn something from this and be very, very.
Yes, and what they should learn is assholes like this are going to come out of the woodwork as the demographic and the trend in the country favors them less and less every goddamn time. And I am not talking strictly on racial lines. Financially, policy-wise. Honest to God, it was a gift to the Republicans that socialism and defund the police became the phrases to describe, platform and policy changes that needed to be made, because they used it as a hammer to beat some voters away. I love how we're supposed to, the Biden-Trump, obviously, they have to bring up this, there were Biden votes with nothing else on them, because that's their only way of explaining situations where Biden won, but the Republican won the Senate. When in reality, it was a lot of Republicans splitting the ticket, going, I can't stand Trump, I'm not voting for him, I'll vote for Biden because we got to steady this out, but I'm going to vote for the Republican senator because we need to keep balance of power. That's
Very careful with the next election. I know this is a lot of information that we've given you.
It is not a lot of information. It isn't. This isn't a lot of information. It's a lot of conjecture and bullshit. But even the stuff you've mentioned, it's not hard to keep track of. You say it's a lot of information because you can't keep your story straight.
Probably because we're frustrated with what we keep reading and hearing.
Dude is staring right at his face. Look at that. He can see it. He knows everybody else can see it. But he can't interrupt him and say anything because that'll be the news story. If I'm ever in that situation, folks, and I have something dripping down my face that is untoward or disgusting, or even if I get that white stuff at the corner of the mouth, when people get sort of dry mouth, I see that a lot when people are speaking. I've never really had that issue before. Doesn't mean I won't when I'm older. It's entirely possible. But I would like to say to anybody watching, if you come over and go, Hal, you have the white stuff gathering at the side of the mouth. Oh, shit. Can I get a glass of water, everybody? I've been talking so much, blah, blah, blah. You handle it with charm and aplomb and you just deal with it. For fuck's sake. Be a friend. Somebody throw themselves in front of the bus for Rudy if they actually care. Have you no friends?
In the censored press, which is that we have no...
Censored? Asshole, you are all over the news today. Was this just a ploy? Look, nobody's going to show this thing. If we come out here and make these accusations, it's all bullshit. It's never going to make the head... Rudy, I have an idea. What? How about you let brown goo seep down the sides of your face? Hear me out. Hear me out. It's the only way we're going to get press.
No evidence. We have no specifics. We have no backup of what we're saying.
You don't.
And you largely ignore...
If your fly's down, I will walk up to you and zip you up. Well, thanks, Obi. I appreciate that. See?
or the affidavits that are filed, whether you agree or disagree with an affidavit.
I disagree.
It's evidence.
No, it is not. It's an allegation. An affidavit is not evidence until you have an evidentiary hearing where the judge rules that the affidavit so signed qualifies as a singular piece of representative evidence, eyewitness testimony. There's a reason why eyewitness testimony isn't called evidence. This is so dumb.
You can't say, you're just lying to the American people when you say there's no evidence.
There's no evidence. You're lying when you call an affidavit evidence. Jackass. You're also lying when you... I don't know. This is a mess. Come on.
Sydney was giving you information that come from affidavits from other people.
Yeah. Hearsay affidavits. What more could you ask for?
Given under oath. I was explaining things to you from affidavits that come from other people, American citizens.
Allegedly.
Who swear under oath that they saw 100,000 ballots come in.
Yeah. No, they did not swear under oath that they saw 100,000 ballots come in, and maybe if they did, they didn't swear that they were all for Biden or that they were fake or that they weren't valid ballots.
And that they were all for Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I should point out now that Sydney has spoken, that
Sydney has spoken.
those happened just around the time that the Dominion
Come on.
or Smartmatic people called a
How long
halt to
does
the
this
election.
go on?
And then you can also trace it with a very big spike in the vote count at exactly that time.
You know what I can trace? The lines running down the side of your fucking face. Look, there's a spike because there's a difference. There's a standard set by the in-person voting. The in-person voting isn't just a magically zero number. It's whatever number we're coming in. And then that we're vacillating between Trump and Biden to some degree. Where Biden was up, Trump was up slightly or Biden was up slightly or vacillating somewhat in county to county. In all these areas they want thrown out, Biden was way ahead even in the in-person. And then, ding, they start counting the vast majority of Democratic voters. So of course it's offset. None of those votes are illegal, though. They're not arguing that those voters didn't intend to cast those votes.
Right up. So
These combust to melting?
what we're telling you is supported by evidence.
No, it isn't.
And we're going to have to present these because of the procedures that exist according to the different voting laws of the different states. For example, you asked us about Wisconsin. We have to first create a contest in Wisconsin before we can move to bringing a fulsome federal lawsuit. The contest, from everything I can see, is going to overturn the vote
No.
because it's going to show somewhere around 100,000 illegal ballots in 2 counties that Biden carried by 75, 80%. And you know how close Wisconsin is. And what I'm talking about is the absentee ballots for which there were no applications.
Again, he alleges there's no applications. Again, if you have, let's say I have I'm a county commissioner or I'm a clerk in one of these areas that's responsible for the maintenance of these things. And I'm a Republican. And I know full well what the legal limitations are of mail-in voting in this area. And because I like Trump and I don't like Joe Biden and I think he's going to turn us into Venezuela, I throw out those applications. Now, the people are going to come in and vote. They're going to get a ballot because it's already in the system. But they'll never get to come and verify the applications. So those folks I could nullify their votes if I wanted to, simply by disposing of sheets of paper whenever I wanted to. No, I have a ponytail, guys. So at this point, hi. Huh? I'm okay. We're getting through it. It's a long one. It's the Rudy thing. I know. Love you. I know. I still have more shooting to do. Stuff. She's getting on me.
And that's not just a...
CNN won't air this. Why would they? Honest to God. For what? CNN can see the filings. CNN and all these other organizations have reporters that have to go and sit through these goddamn legal proceedings. They don't need to see the publicity flap. They have people sitting there. If he says or does anything noteworthy that actually checks out, they'll mention it.
It's a small matter. The reason for the application and the reason to keep all these things together is precisely to avoid what the Democrats did.
No. There's no reason why an application need be attached to an absentee voter. There's no reason why you should have to ask the state permission or provide a specific application to get an absentee ballot. You only get to count your vote once. If you try to vote twice, you go to jail. Why would anybody risk that to double vote on your own? I mean, you can argue statewide invalid, blah blah blah. But as far as my vote getting counted because I got a mail-in ballot and I shouldn't have got one because I didn't apply to the state, there is no legitimate reason why I couldn't vote by mail every single election. Anybody could, especially anybody in Wisconsin who lives out in the fucking sticks. Why? It's because they want to make it as hard as possible. But there's no if you register to vote, and there are multiple ways to vote, you should have access to all of those. And you can only vote once. That's it. Good God.
In this election, which is to misuse the absentee ballot process.
Why would you misuse it?
And the mail-in ballot process.
Oh, gross.
In order to cheat. So they really cheated in two respects. They cheated with the machines. Instead of asking me, are we going to bring a lawsuit in Wisconsin, which we will if we have to, you should have asked me.
So you're not. So that's not for sure? You're not even going to bother to bring a suit in Wisconsin? Because they aren't. That's news. That's why besides the cameras clicking, because they thought he was going to wipe the brown stuff off, notice it on his hand, and fix his face.
And you should be more astounded by the fact that our votes are counted in Germany and
they aren't.
In Spain.
They aren't.
By a company owned by affiliates of Chavez and Maduro.
Chavez is dead.
Did you ever believe that was true? Did any
No, because it isn't.
of you here believe that that was possible? Of course it's not. Of course it shouldn't be possible.
Look at that. He almost admitted it.
I don't know if we're going to have time to develop all that.
Yeah, spend the next 3 years doing it. Why not? Why not Benghazi the shit out of this? Call Jim Jordan. I don't know why he's not traipsing this thing in front of the Judiciary Committee or something in the House. Like,
in time to
why not
fill the requirements of all these cases? We have enough.
Yeah. What's the requirement? Define requirement. Post-it notes?
Evidence without that to overturn this election. We have it from the affidavits of American citizens. But that's a matter of national security that we're talking about now. Very, very.
So if that's the concern, then obviously the cybersecurity position that, well, never mind.
A serious matter of national security. Please don't make light of it. And don't act like you.
I'm not making light of national security. I'm making light of you trying to use national security as an excuse for a parade of bullshit to talk your boss out of the treehouse.
Knew it. Don't act like it isn't a surprise. If that's not a headline tomorrow, then you don't know what a headline is. There is
What is a headline? Does anybody know what a headline is? Is a headline, is that, I'm just confused. Is a headline, work on this with me. Is a headline like a line on your head? There's two. So these are headlines that you have? Are these headlines? Because they look like headlines.
There isn't a single person in this country that would have believed that we have states that are stupid enough to have our vote sent out of this country.
Yeah, because they're not?
You couldn't possibly believe that.
You're right. No one possibly believes it.
The company counting our vote, with control over our vote, is owned by two Venezuelans who were allies of Chavez, are present allies of Maduro, with a company whose chairman is a close associate and business partner of George
Soros?
George Soros.
Yeah,
the biggest donor to the Democrat Party, the biggest donor to Antifa, and the biggest donor to Black Lives Matter.
Oh boy, it's just those big, spindly Jew fingers, just puppet mastering the globe. He's Jewing the place up. It's George. It's the puppet master George Soros, filling Portland's streets with unrest, and at the same time, just to keep you distracted, so that he can put in place a Venezuelan system, because he's not smart enough to create a system inside the United States using technology. He always has to be this ham-handed Venezuelan ties. He's a big donor to Antifa. It's mainly, I think they just say that because he made a lot of money in balaclavas.
My goodness, what do we have to do to get you to give our people the truth?
Well, I have been giving your people the truth. It's not my fault if they don't want to hear it. And point taken, I don't know who your people are.
Yes.
Thank you, Giuliani. My name is Liz Willis with RSBN. Some on this legal team have mentioned before that people close to the Trump campaign are pressuring them to drop the investigation into Dominion. Can you go further into detail and tell us specifically who those people are? Also, if it's possible, can you tell...
Wait, did she say that somebody in the Trump organization wants them to stop?
Trump campaign are pressuring the team...
Wait.
Thank you, Giuliani. My name is Liz Willis with RSBN. Some on this legal team have mentioned before that people close to the Trump campaign are pressuring them to drop the investigation into Dominion. Can you go further into detail and tell us specifically who those people are? Also, if it's possible, can you tell...
Wait a minute. So she mentioned at some point, I don't remember hearing that in particular. No, they don't have a mic for the press there. Are you kidding me? This is a slapdash gathering in some sort of, I don't know if they're a Radisson. Where are they? She just said that people in the Trump campaign are telling him and his people to stop asking questions about Dominion. Is it at the Trump Hotel? I'm just saying, it sounds like they used the Dominion thing and they just are pissed they didn't get their money's worth.
Tell us if they work with some of our powerful defense groups in the United States, such as the CIA.
The last part was, do they work
With defense groups.
with defense groups and the CIA? First, I'm in charge of this investigation with Sydney and the people that you see here. There's been no pressure to stop investigating Dominion.
No one's
In fact, there's
pressuring y'all to stop.
no, there's pressure to go as fast as we can. I mean, I think there was uniform shock when we first heard it. I think when I first heard it, I didn't believe it until Sydney showed me the documents. And in fact,
We have the documents.
I feel kind of stupid, and you all should, because all you
Yes, I do.
have to do is go online and find out that Smartmatic is owned by Venezuelans close to Chavez. You can Google it. Well, unless they take it down. I preserved it. So
You preserved it. I see. He's preserving sections of the internet in case they're scuttled by, yeah. CIA, Bill Gates, COVID, 5G, Frankenstein, Pope takeover. Yeah, it's bound to happen.
You can find it. Not, you know, and by the way, the Krumer character, who is close to Antifa, took off all of his social media. Haha, but we kept it. We've got it. The man is a vicious, vicious man.
Vicious. He's just sick. I don't know who he is.
Wrote horrible things about the president.
Like what? Like that he's rapey and gross?
He is completely.
What? Because when you say horrible, I'm gonna guess it has stuff to do with like him patting his daughter's ass and stuff like that. That part? Does that count? Because if it does, I'm in trouble.
Biased. He's completely warped. And he specifically says that they're going to fix this election.
Does he? They're going to fix it?
I don't know what you need to wake you up, to do your job, and inform the American people, whether you like it or not, of the things they need to know. This is real.
I've been playing your shit. I put up fucking 2 episodes of your goddamn common sense nonsense. It was garbage. It hasn't gone any further. You're still talking out of your ass. We're supposed to fill in the gaps with our outrage. That's not how this shit works.
It is not made up. It is not. There's nobody here that engages in fantasies. I've tried 100 cases. I prosecuted some of the most dangerous criminals in the world.
Like your stylist?
I know crimes. I can smell them. You don't have to
I know crimes. I can smell them.
In the world. I know crimes. I can smell them. You don't have to smell this one. I can prove it to you 18 different ways.
Unlike how we normally deal with crime, which is sniff it out. He knows crimes. He can smell them.
I can prove to you
that, Your Honor, case closed. He that smelt it dealt it.
That he won Pennsylvania by 300,000 votes. I can prove to you that he won Michigan by probably 50,000 votes. When I went to bed on election night...
Yeah, if you don't count black people's votes...
He was ahead.
Which they don't.
In all those states. Every single one of those states. How is it they all turned around?
Because the in-person vote was largely for Trump. The mail-in vote was largely for Biden. There was a distinct political difference between people who wanted to vote in person, didn't believe in wearing masks, and people who take the virus seriously, wear masks, socially distance, and decided to vote by mail, largely. That comparison is entirely validated in the gap between the voting.
Every single one of them turned around? Or is it more consistent that there was a plan to turn them around?
Or is it more consistent that you thought Dominion was on your side and the software only allows you to bring yourself within a margin of error and help you win these states, and it didn't work, and now you're sweating it because you talked Trump into using this whole system and rallied these assholes behind you under the ruse that this was valid. That actually Rudy Giuliani knows through the Ukraine and his connections in Russia and the people he met with in Italy and other places and in Spain where he was during the Ukraine thing as well, that he actually talked Trump into using the glitch in the Dominion software to guarantee himself some states, but the blue tsunami was so large they couldn't do it. I'm putting that forward. Why isn't that being investigated by the lamestream media?
And since there are witnesses who say there was a plan to turn him around...
No, there aren't. There wasn't. There's no witnesses that said there was a plan to turn him around. You're attaching people together in your head.
It kind of begs credulity to say that it all happened in every single state. My goodness, this is how you win cases in a courtroom.
No, it isn't. If that was how you won cases in a courtroom, you would have won some. Oh, I finally got it. Oh, and then he wiped it on his mouth. And then he did a whole, oh, this is good.
Our goal here is to go around the iron curtain of censorship.
Okay, good. Job number one, go around the iron curtain of censorship, which is obvious since every network has reporters there, and this is streaming in its complete form on the internet for anyone to see.
That what publication are you with? It's to go around the.
Why are you laughing at the fact that CNN is there? You invited them. You actually, and by the way, he knows who she is. He knows that's the CNN reporter. They're wearing credentials. They put this shit together. You can't say there's an iron curtain of censorship when, as this is live streamed, a CNN reporter is there taking notes to report on it.
Outrageous iron curtain of censorship.
Again, with the iron curtain of censorship. Hi, I'm Hal Sparks. Welcome to my weird little internet show that I've been doing the entirety of the pandemic. Normally, I only do my Saturday show with my radio show. It's a way of just kind of streaming it to other markets and other people across the globe. But during this time, I've spent a good deal of time at home working on my system, crazy as it is, so that I can bring to you the craziness of the day and keep people abreast of what's going on during the pandemic while we try not to lose our fucking minds. I, through all of this, decided that the best way that I can help and add a little bit to this whole thing is to air things like this in their entirety without editing or cutting anything out, but just augmenting them with my commentary and truth-telling as I go along. And people can take what I've said and what they've said and stand it up right next to each other. And there is no iron curtain of censorship. In many ways, it's the only show of its kind, because some people will do this talking over some videos, but they only do little chunks of it, the stuff that arguably fits their narrative or their time slot. But I let this shit drag on and on and on, so that the Rudy Giulianis of the world, who bitch and moan that nobody gives any airtime or notices or talks about their bullshit, have to deal with the fact that I'm here going through the whole fucking thing, note for goddamn note. Sick of this. Nobody. I'm here. I'm doing it. Now get your shit together. Know the difference between the law in Pennsylvania and Michigan, and pay your bar dues in D.C.
And get facts to the American people.
Why? You're not. Why is that my job?
That if you were a fair and honest network, you'd have been reporting for the last 2 weeks.
They have been. They have been fairly and honestly reporting that you are getting your ass handed to you in court, that the other lawyers all quit because there's no case there, and that you're wasting everyone's time and stealing money from Republican donors. But go ahead.
These are facts. These are...
No, these are not facts. These are your allegations. And you would go a lot fucking further if you would just say, we are alleging today, and we have reason to believe that this is how things are. And if you just use the proper language, you would actually go further with this argument. Seriously. It sounds like you're stepping back from the truth, or you're moving from a position of being defensive. But if you use the real legal language around this, and say that your affidavits are allegations of this kind of voter fraud, and we think that this is systemic, and we think that they will prove it. The way you talk in court, that people are hip enough now that they would recognize that and take you a lot more seriously. But when you wag the ramblings of a bunch of QAnon assholes who think John Jay's Piper Cub, landed in fucking George Washington's mouth at Mount Rushmore, and that Hillary's been in Guantanamo for the last 9 months, and expect us to believe it's the same thing as a smoking gun, you're insane.
Things that actually happened. These people really wrote these affidavits. These affidavits are really part of the public record. You're concealing them.
They're not concealing them. You're concealing them. You're not releasing them. You've only put 2 forward. What are you talking about? He just spent half of his time earlier telling us that he can't show you all of them because he doesn't want the people to be bothered. But CNN isn't doing the right thing by showing the affidavits that he won't show to them. What the fuck? What?
You're covering them up. And our role here
is to gross everyone out and embarrass yourself and be a parade of odd fashion choices?
is to do your job because you don't do it.
They're there doing their job. Why are you castigating someone who is there reporting on what you are doing? I don't, again, talk to the camera and go, these motherfuckers wouldn't even show up to our thing or whatever. We got a bunch of local Sinclair stations all showed up and OAN's here and shit, and that's great, and thanks, guys, but you guys aren't blah, blah, blah. Talk to the camera, but they're there. They're there. Everybody's like, hey, fucko, I'm right here. That's literally what they're like. What are you talking about?
Chanel?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. And where is our FBI? And have they expressed
Where's our FBI?
any interest whatsoever in looking into allegations?
Comedy jokes. It's comedy with Rudy as he looks under the podium. Comedy jokes. Where is the FBI, honestly?
Have to have a little humor.
We do. You have to do something funny, though, instead of something that's just kind of weird and doddering and odd.
We have witnesses who have actually reported.
Where
things
are
to
you,
the
FBI?
And nothing's happened as a result of it.
I don't know where the FBI has been for the last 3 years.
I don't know. Go to Quantico, knock on the door. You're in D.C. all the time.
I have no idea where the FBI has been for the last 4 years.
They've been busting serial killers and rapists that operate across state lines and stopping gun running and drug dealers and financial criminals. They're the fucking FBI. Watch Silence of the Lambs. The FBI is busy a lot of the time with real shit.
Explain to me how the FBI concealed a memo in the hand
They concealed a memo. Oh, this is interesting. Of what?
of Brennan to
Oh,
Obama saying that Hillary basically made up.
Yeah, I'm going to need to see the entire sentence unredacted and not the second half of the sentence that the White House chose to redact only part of the sentence to give the illusion of what you're saying being the truth. Now, granted, you do not have security clearance on the level that you would get to see the whole thing. I don't doubt that Trump would show it to you if you asked. But you don't have the clearance to see the actual whole statement that Brennan wrote, just the last sentence, which they didn't redact. And so the redacted part very well could say, it was alleged that blah, 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 that it is being alleged by the Trump campaign that Hillary Clinton said that we should do all this, da, da, da. And then you redact everything but Hillary Clinton said that we, da, da, and then that's what you're running at as evidence. Again, this kind of shit.
The Russian collusion plot. They withheld that for 4 years. And
No, they didn't. They looked at it and went, that's just notes. That's nobody's business and it has nothing to do with the investigation at hand. Trump and his team went, if we cut off this entire paragraph except for the last sentence, it sounds like
cost our country $40 million and 2 impeachment, one attempted, one actual, and then an acquittal proceeding.
the actual impeachment was because of Ukraine.
I don't know where they've been. I don't know where they were on the hard drive. They got it 10 months ago.
The Hunter Biden hard drive, which apparently is loaded up with crimes, admissions of crimes, child porn. But the FBI found it and went, but Rudy got it at the same time the FBI did, and it's had stuff on it the whole time, and he sleeps with it, apparently. Sleeps with a hard drive, he alleges, whether that hard drive actually belongs to Hunter Biden or not. According to his allegations, It has child porn on it, and he knows this. He doesn't know whether it's legit or not. He can't know, but he does know it's on there, and he sleeps with it. He sleeps with it.
There are clear crimes revealed on it.
No, there aren't.
Didn't do anything with that. I don't know where they are now. Our
Yeah, we saw the hair coming down. That was a good time.
country has had its ballots counted, calculated, and manipulated in a foreign country
Allegedly,
with a company controlled
by alleged by the elite squad,
by
right?
friends of an enemy of the United States. What do we have to do to get the FBI to wake up?
Maybe have actual evidence and not the Facebook group ramblings of a QAnon wannabe. By the way, where the fuck is Q? Dude loses the election, no posts at all? Are these people supposed to be there? I mean, what kind of Jim Jones story would we have if Jim Jones was the only person that had drank the Kool-Aid that day? I mean, honestly.
Maybe we need a new agency to protect us. I have no idea.
I have no. Wait, I have an idea. She's like, I have a good idea for a replacement for the FBI. Let's hear it.
If I may speak for just a minute, in terms of
Please tell us how the FBI is awful, Republicans.
the level of corruption we are looking at
Yes, my hair's just. I just have my hair in a ponytail, kids.
here,
Oh, unless you're talking to Rudy.
no idea how many Republican or Democratic candidates in any state across the country paid to have the system rigged to work.
Oh, all right. So you're admitting that you believe that Republicans paid to admit it. I would submit to you, weird leopard skin lady, I would submit to you that Donald J. Trump, through his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, and possibly Ivanka and Jared, funneled money to Dominion in an attempt to guarantee him the election, and was overwhelmed by how many votes came in, and it did not actually fix the system, and that they were not expecting, you guys were not expecting, as many mail-in ballots to actually make it, considering Louis DeJoy had slowed down the mail, so you were calculating those ballots not coming in. So I would argue that there's all the evidence today, I think we can all agree, I think, guys, right, all the quote-unquote evidence that's been presented today points to that Donald Trump and the Donald Trump campaign paid Dominion to help him in the election, and it simply was not enough, ultimately. All right? I think we can all agree on that, right? We've heard everything they've said today. I think that's as reasonable a conclusion as anything they've drawn today.
Work for them. These people didn't do this just to take.
They also hired dozens of people who to sign affidavits. They will be paid a lump sum, much like the Project Veritas guy, after the fact. And all they have to do is sign an affidavit saying they saw what they think they saw. And if they're ever cross-examined, they can always say, well, I didn't know that at the time, but I stand by what I said at the time because that was the information I had at the time. And so they won't ever get thrown in jail or be found in contempt of court unless they continue to perjure themselves, which none of them have done or will do. They all just drop it and move on. And then they leave the courtroom and go, no, I never backed out of what I was saying. And then they get their check and they run on. And the whole point is to scuttle belief in our democracy, not to ultimately install Donald Trump any more than what Russia did. They don't care if he's actually the president. They just want everybody to shit on the system and doubt the FBI and doubt our voting system. That's the goal, not the installation of an individual person. But Trump thought that the installation of the person was the thing that they were actually going for. And so he paid Dominion to benefit himself in the vote, and he's not getting his money's worth, or at least the taxpayers' money's worth, or the Trump campaign, or the RNC, or the NRA's money, wherever the fuck the money came from. He's not getting his money, and he's mad. Basically, all these people fixed an election, and they're standing there at a restaurant on a check they intended to ditch. They dined and dashed, and then they came back in to get a breath mint, to get a buttermint.
Control.
That's it.
They make one heck of a lot of money off of it. Think about the global interests behind your own
Global
news organizations. Think about the pressure being brought to bear from the social media companies to shut down free speech on any challenge to the election.
It's terrible. It's almost as if you can't post Russian propaganda in the middle of an election. By the way, we are watching this video via YouTube, which is owned by Google and is one of the big tech companies, they say, is censoring them. There is literally 60 different versions of this video in long form on YouTube, multiple networks.
Election. This is a massive, well-funded, coordinated effort to deprive.
Thanks very much. I mean, we're not well-funded. We do okay. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Help us out. You can do it. You can now become an annual member. You don't have to worry about it taking money out every month, which is a little weird, I always think. You can do a whole year at any level you want. There you go. Thanks, Sidney Powell, for allowing me to do a commercial, which I always forget to do.
We, the people of the United States, of
In order to form a more perfect...
our most fundamental right under the Constitution to preserve this republic that we all cherish. It is of the greatest concern. It is the 1775 of our generation. And
oh, so she's fighting the revolution against the outsiders. This isn't about 1776 and us. We're all Americans and we've all agreeing on our system. From her perception, the other voters are, in this case, the redcoats, except they're wearing blue. Okay.
and beyond.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes.
Thank you to all our proud Patreons. You guys are amazing. Bless you.
Our votes being held and processed, tabulated overseas. There's reports that there was a piece of hardware, possibly a server, picked up in Germany. Is that true, and is it related to this?
There's, Rudy is about to blow his nose. This is not going to work out well for anyone. Oh my fucking God. This is about to be really gross. Shit.
That is true. It is somehow related to this, but
What is he doing?
I do not know whether good.
What is it? Why is he wiping the booger? Why is he wiping the booger with his thumb? Why is he wiping the snot? Don't get away from my tip jar, you psychopath. I'm gonna move my tip jar away.
Guys got
Wiping.
it or bad guys got it.
Okay, folds it over. And booger side up, wipes it on his mouth. Rude. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah, she evaded the question. We'll get back to that in a second. I can't, with this going on in the front. I mean, he's basically, this is the greatest psyop I've ever seen. He's letting these thoughts sneak into our heads by covering with this. Wipes snot on his thing, folds it out, thumbs the booger, and then wipes his mouth with the same side of the goddamn... What is happening? Oh, and he wipes it across his forehead. I'm out. I can't. I got this. What the hell? What the hell? What the... What? Come on. This is the elite force. This is the elite. This is the elite force. This is the elite squad of force of the eliteness. Okay,
Guys got
wait.
it. That is true. It is somehow
Okay, right there it is.
related
Keeping
to
track.
this, but I do
Open
not
that
know
side.
whether good guys got it.
Still
or
the
bad
right
guys
side.
got it.
Still holding that side up. Still, yep, that's it. That was it. For fuck's sake. That's that he did not flip it over. He did not fold it and wipe with the other side. This is frigging ridiculous. It's not force. Come on. Come on. This is elite. This is the elite. I mean, she looks like she knows it's happening and she's looking right at us. Like she's got this watch this bitches moment. And she looks like the Sidney Powell looks like she's sitting in the audience looking right at him like, well, he's wiping the boogers on his face. and he's going to do it again. Right across the face and into the eye, and the other. Oh my God. This reminds me of that story about the girl who wrote home. She was on Broadway, and she keeps every time she's in it, she's a chorus girl or something. She keeps getting upstage time after time. You know, someone's prettier, someone's got a louder voice. She's always getting upstage, and she finally writes home to her mother, and she says, I finally got a role. I'm not going to be upstaged. It's my time to shine. There's only 2 people on stage in the entire thing. I give this beautiful monologue, this soliloquy. The entire play is a monologue that I tell this wonderful story. And there's one person on stage. He has no lines, and his job is he is just simply writing down every word I say over the course of the play, dipping a quill into it, and he just writes the thing out. And I am the star, and the spotlight is on me, and I will have my day in the sun. And the next letter came back and went, he drank the ink. Oh.
And at the time, I'm going to take the one with the hands raised.
I'm with Just the News.
Yes.
I'm with Just the News.
A question for you, Sydney. First, on the issue of the machines, do you plan to have, are you seeking a court order to either seize or subpoena or just to gain access to any of these machines in any of these contested districts? Have you begun that process? And when should we expect a timeline on that? And then, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned in Wisconsin and in Michigan these issues of overvoting. Where can we learn more about this? You're saying 150.
Yeah. Where is that 200% of people? Where can we learn more about that?
Up to 350% in some places.
Where would we get?
Let me guess. We're going to find out above the normal turnout?
Access to that data, and then to what extent
Because people can mail in their votes now, and that's actually much easier? Is that what we're going to? All right.
People who showed up to vote in person, because in Michigan, for example, they did allow same-day registration.
Yes, well, the same-day registration causes problems with the vote signature and the registration itself. That's a whole different system that makes it impossible, really, to validate the signature. I mean, one person...
No, it isn't, because same-day registration requires that you have some sort of photo ID that they can check. And it's still technically provisional.
And could sign the same name. I could sign John Smith. I could sign Kay Smith. I could sign,
And it would have to match your ID, your social security number, your birth certificate, whatever verification you're giving for your existence.
And run
your passport.
50 ballots that way. And we've got some evidence of that being done as well. Rudy, do you want to speak to the other part of it?
Sure.
Yeah, tell them.
We have now 3 overvote analyses done. One for Pennsylvania, one for Michigan,
and Wisconsin.
and one for Wisconsin. We're in the process.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why the fuck do I know more about your case than you do?
Georgia. We're in the process of doing the others. I'll check to see if it's appropriate for us to make it public.
Well,
I imagine it is, but you could actually do it.
Yeah.
You could do it yourself.
a lot of the analysis comes from the real-time data that came through to the news medias the night and following the election.
What the fuck? This is the evidence. I watch the news. I've never seen this many people vote. That's like 300%. Write that down.
And some entrepreneurs out there have started
Entrepreneurs.
crunching data themselves, in addition
Oh.
to multiple experts who could easily recognize
Yeah.
with the mathematical brain that I do not have the beyond explicable deviations to the point of mathematical impossibility that 186,000 votes come in at once, all for Joe Biden.
They didn't.
That's like flipping a coin 186,000 times, and it lands on heads every time.
No, that's like Democrats all having a coin that has Joe Biden's head on both sides, and Republicans all having a coin that has Trump's face on both sides, and they throw their coin in a box for their vote, and then they tally up how many coins are in a box, and there's more Biden coins. Because they looked in the Biden box, and it was all Biden coins. I mean, this is bullshit. They're just making it up. It was actually like Decision Desk that screwed up.
That does not happen. There is no reasonable explanation for the upshoots, the straight lines up. I'm not even talking about an angle. I'm talking about some massive straight lines up in the vote.
Yeah, there is a specific reason for that. There's a huge reason for that. There were already an established number. It wasn't zero. Your little hand graph makes the viewer assume that we're operating at base zero, and then it shoots up into nowhere, into the fucking sky. Get close enough on any graph, find one peak, and chase it.
Vote tallies in the middle of the night after they've supposedly stopped counting, and that's when the Dominion operators went in and injected votes and changed the whole system. And
Is that when it happened? That's how it happened? So, yeah. Do we have drone footage? What are you talking about?
affects votes around the country,
It does.
around the world, and all kinds of massive interests of globalists.
They went in and changed votes in Georgia that affected it. It's like a butterfly flapping its wings. They caused the hurricanes.
Dictators, corporations, you name it. Everybody's against us except President Trump and we the people of the United States of America.
Everybody is against us except President Trump and we the people. Fucking hell.
You've spoken of unleashing the Kraken. Is the country ready for this? I mean, Americans should be astonished at what you're saying here today. Is the country on the verge of an electoral breakdown?
We've already had it.
We hope so.
We have already had that electoral breakdown.
I mean, we are funded almost entirely. Our entire organization is funded on the idea that we have to scuttle democracy as we know it, and the destruction of Western civilization is key to the advancement of both the Chinese and the Russian oligarchical systems, and of course the Iranians. Don't get me started. So they bounce money all over the place, but it ends up in our pocket, and that's the most important thing.
Breakdown. But the Constitution, as Jenna explains, has provisions in it for how you fix this. And there should never be
You mean the Electoral College to override the will of the voter?
another election conducted in this country, I don't care if it's for local dog catcher, using a Dominion machine and
Yeah. All right.
Smartmatic software. We've got to have
I can't
an
jump on
American
all of these,
company
so we'll be here all night.
that uses paper ballots that we can all verify, so every one of us can see that our vote is our vote.
Why are you not requesting recounts in Wisconsin counties that use Dominion software? You're requesting recounts in 2 counties that don't use the software at all.
Because this case is not only about, remember, this case didn't begin with Dominion. This case.
So the question was, why are you asking for recounts in only 2 counties in Wisconsin, and those counties don't use Dominion software? Why are you not asking for recounts in the areas that use Dominion software, which went for Donald Trump? I stand by what I said earlier. These people are complaining that they finished their meal, but they want their money back because it just didn't taste good enough.
Case began, and this case can be.
This is a fucking Dominion Yelp review on behalf of Donald Trump. I paid for this shit. It was supposed to throw the election my way. Why was it not enough? What do you mean audit?
Proven the old-fashioned way. It can be proven based on just good old-fashioned democratic tactics that go back to Mayor Daley.
You know, good old-fashioned tactics like carrying a snot rag in your pocket and wiping it all over your goddamn face. Daley, we're going to Wisconsin. We're going to Mayor Daley. We're going to Chicago politics from 60 years ago.
In the 1960s, when he held the vote back in Chicago so that he could elect John F. Kennedy. Or
finally, we're getting to the point where we deal with the fact that John F. Kennedy not only shouldn't have been elected, but he deserved to be shot. Get at him, Rudy. Go ahead, explain it. Tell us all. Go. You know what? Who has the guts to go after JFK right now? Another Catholic. Pfft. Now they're trying to do it again. This is all about Big Pope.
As recently as last year, when they held the vote back in Palm Beach County and Broward County in order to see if they could steal that election for the Senate and governor, and then got caught manufacturing ballots. Democrats have been doing this for years on a small scale.
I see.
When they passed the mail-in voter statute, which all of a sudden multiplied by 10 times the number of mail-in votes, they realized.
You mean it raised the number of during a pandemic? Can you do me a favor? You know how Trump was bragging that he's responsible for the rise in telehealth? We've all heard him say that, right? Telehealth. This administration, telehealth is up 90%. Why is that? Because people are afraid they have a contagious disease, and doctors would rather see somebody who has a contagious disease virtually rather than have them come in and spread a highly contagious disease to everybody in the fucking office. So, telehealth has increased tenfold. Interestingly enough, equal to the number of increases in mail-in balloting that Rudy Giuliani just cited in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. For the exact same fucking reason.
They could have a field day. They could do precisely what Jimmy Carter and Secretary Baker warned us about. All you have to
You mean before we had computers?
Do is own an election board, and you can get away with it. And
so is that why Trump's trying to have the election board all come to the White House? Because he thought he owned them, and now he's going to. This is an employee review?
Like what Sydney is talking about, where you could have a paper trail, a paper ballot. I tried to point out to you, the minute that you separate the outer envelope from the ballot, you can no longer trace it, which is...
No, you cannot link who the person voted for, but you can link that they voted and that their ballot was counted. Because the UPC symbol, or the code, the barcode that's on the actual ballot, is linked to, through anonymous software, the person who voted. So that they can see that their vote was counted because the number's attached, but the content of the ballot is not established in line with their actual voting history. You can just show that they voted, not who they voted for. You see what I'm saying? It's fucking 2020. We're capable of this kind of shit. Read the goddamn iTunes agreement you sign to every time you up your music subscription.
Why the count, whatever the count in Georgia today is, it's totally ridiculous. They're counting the same fraudulent ballots one
No, your assumption is that they're fraudulent. That's on you.
more time. And we're still very close.
Mr. Mayor, so far, no single court has found evidence of fraud. That's got to be disappointing for you and the president. How would you...
The blotch on his sleeve, his collar is pretty gnarly at this point.
Describe his mood at the moment, and do you and him still genuinely believe you can overturn this election, or is it about something bigger for you?
Okay, wait. So, what's her name? Jenna, what's her name? Kept hitting the whole. This is not about overturning. This is not about overturning. This is not about. We're not trying to overturn anything. It's not about overturning anything. So, take it away, Rudy.
Well, it is about something. Let's go from the big picture to the smaller picture. The most important thing here is that this has been a massive attack on the integrity of the voting system in the greatest democracy on earth.
Yes, we realize that's what you are doing.
The people who did this
are right behind you.
Have committed one of the worst crimes that I've
Look, did you see her up there in the corner? That is so true.
ever seen or observed. One of the things we're the most proud of in this country is that we've been such a long-standing democracy based...
Dude, you just got done telling us how Philadelphia has been a cesspool for 60 years and that Chicago was responsible for throwing the election to JFK. The fuck are you talking about?
On the right to vote. They have trashed the right to vote. They've dishonored the right to vote. They've destroyed the right.
What right to vote? Jenna just made the argument that this whole thing is about the protections put into the Constitution through the Electoral College to avoid any kind of overtaking, the masses taking over the voting process. What?
Right to vote in their greed for power and money. And there's no doubt about it. This was not an individual idea of 10 or 12 Democrat bosses. This is a plan. You would have to be a fool not to realize that.
No, you would have to be a criminal yourself to project that, and a failed one, to project that level of skullduggery and RICO level coordination on something that your own cabinet people have looked into and said, yeah, no, you lost.
They do the same thing in exactly the same way in 10 big Democrat-controlled, in most cases, crooked city. And when I say
crooked, I mean black.
A crooked city, go look at how many of their officials have gone to jail in the last 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years.
Like, America's integrity of our elections are the most paramount thing in the world. But honest to God, all these big cities where 80% of America's money is made are basically criminal endeavors.
They have dominated and destroyed those cities. They picked the places where they could get away with it. They picked the places where, whether or not Republicans testified to something, judges would just dismiss it, because judges are appointed politically. And too many of them are hacks. They pick places.
Dude, your boss just argued that he's put 300 judges on and it's the greatest thing he's ever done, and that all of them will serve the Republican Party well. You're arguing that you think you can get this in front of the Supreme Court so that Amy Coney Barrett will throw it your direction.
Is where they could get a sheriff that refused to enforce a court order. When we got a court order that we could be 10 feet closer, our representatives were told, if you try to do it, I'll arrest you.
You're painting a portrait of a national
No, they weren't. They were allowed.
conspiracy, suggesting that Joe Biden was actually part of that.
Part one, it began as a national conspiracy. Clearly, that evidence emerged very, very quickly. The minute
In your head.
I saw that it was the same thing in 10 states, just using logic, I said this can't be an accident. And then
obviously, clearly, it can't be an accident that Trump lost all these states and Biden flipped them. It can't be an accident.
What I was surprised about is the dimension of it. I mean, not inspecting almost 700,000 ballots is astounding.
They inspected them.
If you're suggesting that Joe Biden was part of that conspiracy, I just wonder what your evidence is.
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't know if he is, because I can't decide whether I'm going to argue that he's the greatest criminal mastermind of all time or if he can't tie his shoes. And I have to vacillate between the two of those. So I honestly don't know if he's part of it.
What Joe Biden is aware of or not aware of. And I mean that as a lawyer, not trying to be cute. I've watched him. I've observed him. I honestly don't know how much he's aware. I don't know how much he decides and how much things are decided for him. So
Oh, she's going to step in. Here she comes. She's in charge of the excuse me, goddammit part of this argument. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Let me
address one other thing.
About the process. Your question is fundamentally flawed when you're asking,
oh shit,
where is the evidence? You clearly don't understand the legal process. What we have
Wait, what?
asked for in the court is to not have the certification of false results. And so...
But you have to establish that those results are false. That's on you. The entire structure of voting, the fact that people fill out registrations, all that kind of stuff, you're up against that actual wall of legitimacy. So if you're going to scuttle the counting of votes in an entire state, you have to bring evidence equal to that legitimacy and overtake it in a court of law.
To say,
The
hold on a
fuck?
minute, we have evidence that we will present to the court.
Yeah, eventually.
We haven't had the opportunity yet to present that to the court. We're giving
Why not? You've been in court 30 times plus.
you an overview and a preview of what we've discovered, but no court yet we've had that opportunity.
What? You've had that opportunity in every single one. Oh, she's piping in. Look at this.
So when we have
This is not even, they're not even, this is the weird lady's talking to herself on the bus right over your shoulder.
we have fraud allegations pending. So what we've asked for are temporary restraining orders or injunctions to not certify false results. We're very happy that Michigan, the reason we dismissed that lawsuit today is because the Michigan county in Wayne County, they're not going to certify that because 71%
No, they did.
of counties have inconsistent data. No person in this room or in this country should want states to rush through and coronate a president with false results. We have to make sure.
Well, that's why we have a problem with what you're saying. You were trying to rush this through and coronate Trump with false results.
That the results are accurate.
We'll take
That's what we will prove.
Two more questions.
The Secretary of State says that can't actually happen, that those votes can't be rescinded, and that the certification in Michigan currently stands.
The Secretary of State where?
In Michigan.
Yeah, well, there are problems in Michigan.
Well, you wait. Excuse me. There's. We'll see about Michigan.
Follow the money.
This is him. This is just like Four Seasons Total Landscaping. This is him learning that they actually did certify the effect, and that they cannot overturn it.
Follow the political party, man. I mean, you're actually seriously going to want me to take seriously the Secretary of State of Michigan?
Yes, because the people of Michigan elected that person, and they are overseeing the election. And if you were going to give Brian Kemp a fucking pass,
when the Secretary of State of Michigan never bothered to find out that the votes in her state were being counted in Germany by a Venezuelan company? And you want me to take her seriously or him seriously?
whoever she is, I don't know. It's not like I have cases in court and the person in charge of what state am I in?
I mean, I was in government.
Well,
if I were the governor of that state, I'd fire everybody that was involved in this.
If you were governor of that state, then we would know for sure that the state's electoral system is criminal because you don't live in Michigan and you are not registered to vote there.
Election. They didn't come and tell me that my state was going to be embarrassed, made a fool of, because I'm sending my votes of people in Michigan over to Germany to be counted by a company that is owned by people who are allies.
Seriously, how the fuck do they think computers work? Are we experiencing people who think the intertubes are a thing? That these machines themselves aren't capable of arriving at a sum number, and that sum number goes into the primary machine of the 5 on the row and is tabulated there, and then it is the responsibility of the elector who's in charge of that particular district to establish that number and give it to the Secretary of State? What do you mean go to Germany to be counted? This is a Scantron test. This isn't... I honestly don't know. I don't know why he thinks it has to be counted overseas. These things are calculators.
Of Maduro and Chavez. By the way, Carolyn Maloney, who wrote that, is my congresswoman. A Democrat pointed that out. They didn't do the darndest bit of due diligence.
The darndest bit of due diligence.
If you bought a $10 million company, you would have done more due diligence than that. Maybe they're incompetent, or maybe they didn't want to know. But you're not going to have me take seriously anything that comes from anyone involved in the election the way it was conducted in Michigan.
But you guys are saying that those votes have been rescinded. They haven't. The Secretary of State there says
The Secretary of State can say whatever she wants to say. Of course she's going to say that. She's a Democrat. She could
It's the law.
also credit the affidavits of the two people and say that the board is tied and therefore the vote hasn't been certified.
No, the board wasn't tied.
So because she's a Democrat,
They rescinded and they joined it. They unanimously certified. Dude, catch up. This happened yesterday.
she's saying that. Do you think she has any credibility? Having run
Yes. She has a piece of paper. She has a certified piece of paper that the count is tabulated and certified by that 4-person committee.
the kind of election they ran in Michigan? You think anyone in that...
And now he's getting mad because this is the same. He's getting blindsided by information, and he was predicating so much of this argument on the idea that Michigan was still a possibility. Fuck
government
hell.
has credibility after using a machine and fooling their citizens? There can't be a person in Michigan who thought their vote was being sent outside the United States so somebody could play with it.
For the record, there are a lot of people in Michigan who wish their votes were being sent to Germany in 1935, but still.
I mean, it's disgraceful what the government of Michigan did to its citizens. Absolutely disgraceful.
Mr. Mayor?
Last question.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, you have alleged,
Last question. They're corralling them. Why are you putting these reporters in a corral, Rudy?
Are you going to be able to get your hands on the voting machines or the servers, and are you going to be able to see what, when, where, and how?
We're not, we are limited in what we can do. We're not the FBI. We're not the government. We don't have that kind of subpoena power. We don't have the power to just go subpoena anything we want. The government does.
You have discovery if you can show that you actually have evidence that warrants it. And according to you, you have all the evidence in the world and more to come, and there's just a bunch and you can't show it, but there's so much there, it's ridiculous. And it's an overwhelming mountain of evidence. But apparently when you show it to a judge and they read it, they either laugh or wipe their ass with it. This is goofy.
We would have to subpoena it in line with a case. Our first case, we're asking for that.
Your first case,
authority in Pennsylvania and in Michigan. But you have to get that authority from the court.
Yeah, one last question. They have to clear out the room for the Flat Earther Conference. I don't think they would have to clear out the room for that.
We're private citizens. We're not the government. If I were...
You're filing a lawsuit. You would have the right to discovery. And if there was validity to your claims and you had any basis of fact or reality, you would absolutely be able to get discovery on some of these things. Sue Dominion. Sue them as a private individual, as the Trump campaign, as a presidential campaign with millions of dollars and a billionaire client, wink, wink. Sue Dominion for discovery in public court. Do it. Say that you were denied your ability to have to compete in an election by a private company with foreign interests. Make the case in court. Screw the state governments. Say it wasn't their fault. Go after the company. They're a private company. Do it. What's the problem here? Fucking hell.
The government, like I used to be, they'd probably be a lot of people.
Like you used, Rudy, for those of you who don't know, Rudy used to be the government.
People arrested by now. Because there's plenty of probable cause. Plenty of probable cause.
Yeah, there's as much probable cause that Dominion tried to throw the election for Donald Trump and failed, and you guys were angry because actual paper ballots ruined your plan. And that you're angry and sweaty, and your mob lawyers screaming at the news about how your client could not have pulled the trigger as he was in Italy at the time.
Thank you, everybody.
No. We'll take...
You alleged that Donald Trump has won by a landslide. We've seen that a lot of your lawsuits and in fact lawyers have been kind of dropping like flies. What do you say to those people who call this a Refuting 2.0 just on the other side? Why didn't this, and also why didn't this happen?
What fake network do you come from?
It's not the question. It's who asking it. Who's asking it? That's what I want to know.
I don't come from a fake network. In fact, I am completely independent, have no one above my head.
Oh.
The independent journalist who sells her stuff to a bunch of different networks because a bunch of people wouldn't show up. They invited her. You gave her credentials. This is your press conference. Seriously.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, our cases haven't been dismissed. We only have.
No, he's right. They haven't all been dismissed. Many of them have actually, the majority of them, they've ruled against you. They didn't even just let you get off with a dismissal. They ruled against you.
Look at the plaintiffs who were involved in this.
It's not our case, ma'am. Don't lie to people. Ma'am, you are lying. You're lying. You're lying. Well, continue to lie. I'm not going to... Ma'am.
This is good. This is good. Now you've upset him. Now he's doing a full-on Sieg Heil. He's giving her the Sieg Heil. Ma'am, talk to the Sieg Heil. I'm kidding. She's had enough though. Sidney Powell, it's nap time. She's way past. It's a 1:30. This is bullshit.
Ma'am, okay. Let me answer the question. The answer to the question is, we don't have a lot of lawsuits. We only have 3. Our lawsuits have not been dropped all over the place.
The Trump campaign has filed 30 lawsuits.
Okay, well, you're a totally discourteous person. I'm going to finish my answer. So, I'm going to finish my answer. The fact is we have very, very few lawsuits. The lawsuits you're talking about have been brought by private individuals and groups. Most of them were dismissed for lack of standing. Probably correctly, because they were brought before the election took place. The election...
What? We're not talking about cases that were brought before. 30 cents. What are you talking about? She's asking you about... Yeah, 34. She's asking the 4 you filed in the last day. The ones in Georgia. The ones in Pennsylvania. The ones in Wisconsin. The ones in Michigan. The ones that are getting thrown out.
It is now over. The only lawsuit we have withdrawn is the one where we got the relief that we wanted, and that's the one in Michigan. We also have another lawsuit in Michigan that will accomplish the other objectives.
You didn't get the relief you asked for. You withdrew it, and then they turned it around. You had a case trying to keep it from being certified. These 4 people met. 2 of them who were Republicans decided because they were loyalists to Trump that they would not certify it. So you withdrew your case, and then they went, nah, screw it. You know what? This is a little scary. We shouldn't screw with our elections this way. We're gonna certify it.
This is what we want to do in Michigan. So it's silly to have 2 competing lawsuits. The only lawyer that left a case left because he was threatened. His family was threatened. His children were threatened.
By?
And so was the other lawyer.
By?
Yeah, that's true. We have a little difficulty getting lawyers because our lawyers get threatened with being killed because of the ridiculous way in which you cover this. And
yeah, right. Notice he said he's not telling you who is threatening them. Who is threatening these people? Right-wingers, because they think they are not working hard enough for Trump.
Ridiculous way in which you cover. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody, but I get a pretty good sense from the way you handle yourself, how you cover it. All right, we're finished with you now. One last question. One last question from a...
Oh, God.
One last question.
One last question.
One last question. One last question from a reasonable civil person. Yeah, you are not. Yes.
I'm not a reasonable person?
No, she isn't. Well, we'll find out.
I'm from the Daily Caller, for the record.
Oh, there we go.
He's from the Daily Caller, so he'll be a reasonable person.
If the courts don't let you present these cases like Jenna just said, will you give the entire bulk of the evidence to the media to review? And if so, when? Or are you going to drag this thing out?
Yeah. If you can't go in court because they look at your shit and they call it shit, will you at least give us the stuff so that we can pepper it all over our social media and use it to shore up our bona fides with the Trump clan?
Like the Hunter Biden hard drive again.
We're not going to drag it out. I mean, it's ridiculous for you to say we're dragging it out.
He's on your side, asshole.
Well, Al Gore had a lot more time than we've had, and we've had...
There was a 500 vote difference in one state that made the pivot in the entire election.
Had 2 weeks to investigate. So that's also completely unfair to say we're dragging
You're not investigating.
it out.
I'm
Also,
good.
if we're going to present things in court, if we present it to you, judges are not going to be very happy with us. And finally, I have to tell you, our witnesses
What? If we're going to present things in court, judges aren't going to be very happy with us? What? You mean tell it in the public and then present it in court? Right. Yeah.
don't want to be exposed to the tender mercies of a vicious press.
The tender mercies of a vicious press. Please, if you're going to wipe your snot on an analogy, at least fold it over backwards if you're going to use it to wipe your face.
I have great difficulty getting those witnesses that I did reveal to allow me to do it. They don't trust you. They don't like you. They think
Why?
you put their lives in jeopardy with the spin that you put on what's going on here and with the unfairness in which you cover it. It's not easy to reveal the things that they tell me.
Why? Why wouldn't it be easy to reveal what the... Yeah, I saw people flipping votes. Why? If somebody saw that for real and they came forward and said that and stood by it, why is that... What the fuck are you talking about?
The answer is I can't do it because I can't put a witness's life in jeopardy or a person who thinks there's...
That's right. You can't print this stuff in the Daily Caller. You think I'm going to stand here in front of you and tell you evidence about shit and back it up with the people that actually said it? They'll get killed. They'll cease to exist as living people. It will be almost as if they were never alive.
Life in jeopardy. This woman tells me we have lawyers dropping out of the case.
Yeah, they do.
We have lawyers dropping out of the case because they're being threatened with destruction of their careers, destruction of their livelihood, and in some cases, destruction of their lives.
By right-wingers. Tell them who actually threatened your lawyers, Rudy.
That comes about because of the hysterical way in which you have covered Donald Trump and his administration. But we're going to change all that. We're going to go to...
No, you're not. This is not the elite strike force that is going to do anything about this. But keep that sign. It's a collector's item now.
We're going to prove it in court. I would love to release all the information that I have. I would love to give it to you all.
Yeah.
Except most of you wouldn't cover it. A few of you would. And then we'd have...
Well, then why don't you release it so the few of them that would do? What?
Have half the American people probably informed. The censorship that is going on in this country right...
You're censoring it. You just told us you're not going to release information. That's the censorship. How can I censor something that I don't have access to? What the fuck? He does this argument all the time. There's so much, the Iron Curtain of censorship, but I'm not going to give this shit to you. What? There's an Iron Curtain of censorship, and it's him. What?
Right now, by big tech and by big media, is almost as dangerous as the election fraud that we're revealing. Maybe just as dangerous. We're headed to a very bad place, and it is not inappropriate.
You mean you're headed to a very bad place right after this news conference?
And a Venezuelan company counted our votes. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, I'd like to say something that is verifiably false and bullshit. Goodbye. Nope, no questions. Thank you. No questions at my own press conference. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not answering any more questions at my press conference. Nope. Thank you for coming, but don't ask me any questions. Please don't take any pictures. No pictures at my press conference. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, oh, look, it's OAN lady. Look. Main OAN lady showed up. There she is. Look at, that's the end of that. Criminy. Okay, pause. A big black screen. That's fairly terrible. Don't. Hi, that was fun. Good God. That took far too long. That's just ridiculous. By the way, yes, ponytail. So I did not cut my hair. This is really, one annoying nerd. I know Sacha Baron Cohen was robbed. Seriously, how do you upstage your own Borat video? Yes, that was long. I did not cut my hair. I have a ponytail in, see? I was just wearing wigs for Sexy Liberal. I still got shooting to do. John and I are working around the clock. It's crazy. Every time I think I'm done, more shit hits the fan. It's Chantal Rowan. Is that her name? Rowan? No, what is it? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. You're awesome too. Thank you guys, by the way, for joining me today. Hopefully, the software I normally use will get updated, and I'll be able to have thank you, Rion. Thank you. I will. Yes, I am going backwards. Hopefully, I'll have my regular kind of setup or a variation therein put up very soon. But that I'm glad we got to go through that whole thing again. This is the only place, and I stand by this, where you get running commentary for an entire press gaggle like this. Aaron Rupar on Twitter will go through and give little clips of stuff, but even he doesn't do the whole thing, and I love Aaron. I'm glad he does it. I have to avoid his feed half the time on Twitter so I don't see stuff beforehand and start making up jokes because or doing the previs research on shit. This nonsense the illusion of information they put forward is embarrassing enough. But this, like with this and the leopard lady and the girl shaming the senior legal advisor for the Trump campaign, shaming the people who showed up at the press conference they called. I don't know. That part I can't say. Oh, did this stop? What happened? I still have. Yeah, okay. I've jumped back on. Good. Had like that. I had multiple things start up on Facebook. But it's a good number of. Let's see. Where is? All right. What in the hell? Publishing tools. Is it in there? No. Facebook, you are so very weird. So I will be on tomorrow at the regular time. I'm gonna get off right now and eat, and then get back to finishing my edit because I'm always late with my shit for Sexy Liberal. But I like to be current, and everything keeps. When we do these live, when we do the Sexy Liberal shows live, and it's basically just stand up. I can write jokes right up to the moment I walk up on stage and feel like, okay, this is like clicking, right? This is fresh. This is right off. But when we're shooting these sketches ahead of time, I got to edit these things. I have special effects and stuff. Yes, I have 2 QR codes. One's for Venmo. Sorry, they're over here. One's for Venmo and the other one's for PayPal. There you go. Because I'm cool like that. Should I move them apart? Does it screw up things if they're not? Yeah. So I do it like that so it doesn't screw up your phone in case they jump around. Anyways, thank you for the support. Thank you for the Venmo, guys. Kristen, oh my God. Bless you for the Venmo. That was incredibly sweet and totally uncalled for and lovely. And thank you, Kristen. Holy smokes. And thank you to all the patrons. We're nearing our 500 number. We're going to get there. If you're watching on Facebook, you can help with stars through the broadcast, and some do. Or you can become a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/Hal Sparks, or you can use the Venmo or the PayPal thing to help. Sexy Liberal it's 5 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So, and then we do a little cocktail hour thing where they do this like chat roulette almost kind of thing where you get to talk to people who are waiting in line to watch the show digitally, and some of us show up as well. And then there's a VIP meet and grope afterwards to talk to us about the show. And then the next morning we have the VIP hangover brunch, because the VIP afterwards sells out. Because we're very popular and we're very interesting. Obviously not because of me, because I'm on TV and streaming like this every goddamn day. So, and people can ask me questions and I talk to the chat all the time. So it's not really special about that. But it's really cool to be able to talk to the other folks or whatever. But there you go. Craziness. Go to sexyliberal.com for tickets. And where's Hunter? That's I found him. Are we going to Babylon? Yes, indeed. We might as well. Just the thumpa. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So anyways, I got to go back to to editing. So you guys are wonderful. And by the way, I almost forgot. Thank you to our trolls for showing up. You have been boosting our numbers, and it has really clicked us up into the next level algorithm. We're getting the show gets recommended because I just started this almost as a hobby and really trying to just fill in, help people stay sane during this madness. And I will continue to do so until such time as there's a vaccine available and we can freely go everywhere we need, because that's how much I love you guys. But I really have to give credit to the trolls for giving us, it's not a lot. It's about 8%, but it's enough that as we grow the real audience, the trolls start to show up to try and compensate and fight and push back. And that 8% boost that's always there pumps us up into another echelon. So I really appreciate it, guys, and I appreciate you sending your eyeballs this way, and you'll never, ever get this time back. And it warms my heart to know that while the rest of us are here having a good time and shitting all over the Trump minions and his ridiculous presidency, that while we're having a good time and we're spending time together and eyeballs are on me doing this show and I'm giving some level of enjoyment to those folks, that the same amount of time is being eaten for you and you're not enjoying it. There's just something really sweet about that. It just really feels good. You know what I mean? I know you guys know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. So this is, I appreciate it. Thanks for trying. I mean, you're doing your best. Which isn't much, but keep swinging. Do what you have to do. And continue to just show up time after time and waste your time here because you'll never get it back. And by the way, Trump lost, and enjoy that, and we'll see you later. All right, everybody else, thanks so much. I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I will see you tomorrow at the regular time. Okay, bye. See you, everybody. Bye.